Hey, fifth graders, we're back. Today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting decimal numbers and some really important things to remember when we're doing that, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with adding some numbers here, okay? So let's start with this first equation. 3 and 84 hundredths plus 4 and 1/10, okay? So it's easier for me to write these up and down, okay? So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to start with my first number, 3.84. Now here's the first thing to remember when you are adding or subtracting decimal numbers is we have to line up our decimals. So I have 4.1 left. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure my decimal is right there under my other decimal. Okay, because I'm going to line them up. All right? So we know it's 4.1, so my 4 goes in front, my 1 goes after. Okay? And we know we're adding. All right? Now, what is this? What is it? Have a number there? We could. Let's just fill it in a 0. Because if we are after the decimal, we can fill in zeros at the end of a decimal number. So I could put a whole bunch of zeros here and a whole bunch of zeros here, and it would not change the value of my equation. Okay? Just like I could put a whole bunch of zeros in front of my whole number, and it wouldn't change the value. Okay? So that only works, though, in front of a whole number or in the back of a decimal. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and add. Remember, we always start in the ones column. 4 plus 0, 4. 8 plus 1, 9. I see my decimal, and guess what? In the answer, it's going to stay lined up. We're going to drop it like it's hot. We're going to drop it straight down. Okay, 4 plus 3, 7. Okay, 7.94, 7 and 94 hundredths. All right, we're going to go over here. My numbers got erased a little bit, but I can fix that real fast. Okay, that was an 8, and that's a 7. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to write it up and down. So I start with my first number, 10.9. 10 and 9/10. Okay, we said we always line up the decimals. So my decimal is going to go there. I'm going to put my numbers that are in front, and behind. And we are adding. What did I say I could do with these blank spaces? I can add zeros after my decimal, and I can add zeros in front to make it easier to see. Okay, 0 plus 4. You got it, 4. 9 plus 8. Yes, 17. Carry my 1. Okay, there's my decimal. Remember, decimal stays in the same place. They are lined up. We drop it like it's hot. Okay, 7 plus 1. 1 plus 0. Good. 10 and 9/10 plus 7 and 84 hundredths is 18 and 74 hundredths. All right, let's try some subtracting. Now, the same rules apply here. Okay, we're going to start with that number, 5 and 1/10. Okay, we know our second number has to have that decimal lined up because we are adding or subtracting. Okay, so I put in my number. Okay, and I have a blank spot. Now, this is very important when you're subtracting especially. You need to fill in that 0. Okay, sometimes kids don't fill that in and they bring a 3 down. That's not right, because when we do fill the 0 in like we're supposed to, we see bigger bottom, better borrow. Okay, so we're ready. We can borrow. Oh, we can't have a 0 there. We're still borrowing. Okay, now we are ready to subtract. 10 minus 3, 7. 10 minus 2, 8. 4 minus 2, 4. Where does my decimal go? You got it. We're going to drop it like it's hot. It stays lined up. Okay. Let's try another. Okay. 6.1. There's that decimal. So we know the decimal for the bottom number is going to be right below it. And we're going to fill in. Okay. And again, we just talked about this. If there is nothing up here, we have to add a 0. Okay? So when we add that 0, we see bigger bottom, better borrow. So we give it a 10. We make this a 0. Well, we can't. Okay? Since it's 0 down below, we can have that. Okay, so we're done borrowing. Let's go ahead and subtract. 10 minus 7. You got it. 3. 0 minus 0. 0. 6 minus 5. 1. Excellent. We dropped our decimal like it was hot. Remember, because those decimals need to be lined up. We need to fill in zeros in those blank spots. Just even so it helps us out to remember, especially when subtracting, that we better borrow. Because a lot of times we're going to have to if there's a 0 above. Okay? Now remember, I showed you guys the other day how we could check these. And if you're subtracting up here, you can add these bottom two numbers, your answer and the bottom number, and you should get the top number. So if we do that, and I just am going to add these two, 7 plus 3, 0, carry a 1, 0, 0, and 1, 1, drop that decimal like it's hot, 5 plus 1, 6. Did I get? Yes, I did. So I know I've gotten the right answer. All right, fifth graders, just keep those things in mind. When you're adding and subtracting decimals, the decimal needs to line up, including in your answer, okay? And fill in zeros. Fill in zeros for those empty places because it'll help you remember to borrow when you need to, because there are times you'll need to borrow. All right, we'll see you later, guys.